Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to be taking a look at my M1 Finance portfolio and seeing how we did for the last year when it came to dividend income, which companies paid out, and how much they actually paid in total into our dividend portfolio. You could see here in the last year, we earned about $2,533.43 in dividends, give or take. There's also some like interesting numbers with special dividends that I don't think play out properly in some of these numbers. So we're going to kind of break some things down and take a look at that and see how everything did. So before we get started with that, just a quick thing. Our portfolio is currently sitting at $432,255. I believe this actually might be the highest number we have on screen here for us. Let me actually take a look. I believe, yeah, that's the highest we've ever had on recording. We had a little bit of a slower last couple of weeks. Things were going down, and then it kind of had just like another rocket ship going up. So, for us, we've been slowed down on actually investing inside of the portfolio as of right now, just kind of holding on to some cash. So let's go ahead and kind of break some things down. And as we're going through this, if you want to check out M1 Finance yourself, I'll have a link for you in the show notes down below. Get you started. Also helps us out as well too, as well as my dividend income tracker that I have down here, which is going to be that's available for purchase. We're going to break this down as well too. Plus I added another tab with our health savings account because I actually earned some dividends on that. So we're going to talk about that. And look at our retirement account with Robinhood and how many dividends we earned as well too. But let's go with the main company here, which is going to be with our M1 Finance. So let's take a look. We finished off the year in 2024. You could see here at $2,721.86. When we go onto M1 Finance and look at the numbers, because when I was adding things up, it didn't match up like perfectly, but just kind of something to keep in mind. Like I said, I think there's like some special dividend stuff that kind of messed up the tracker on M1 Finance themselves. But here, this is where I like to kind of see how things have done. When you look at year over year growth, you could see right there, it was a 76% increase in how much we made compared to 2023. Because in 2023, we made $1,545.23. So we averaged $226 for the year in 2024 every single month. Now, obviously, when you look at the actual year, there are some months that are zero, some months that are lower than that average, but then there are other months that are much higher, which helps bring that kind of middle point there for us too. So it's been pretty great. I mean, if you look at the overall growth, if you look at all these charts with how every month kind of pays out, obviously April's like our worst month. And then just kind of seeing all of the different graphs here just kind of gets me excited because this is why I wanted to build this little tracker out. I want to keep track of these things. I started in 2019 and you could see here in March of that year, we made 2 cents from Microsoft. And then we made 64 cents and then it started to really grow. In that year, we made $8.52. And then you kept going and you saw how in 2020, we made 184, which was obviously a massive percentage increase. And that percentage has gone down somewhat, but that's still pretty impressive for the amount of dollars that we have now in our portfolio that's growing. Now, one thing I do want to quickly mention, you saw the total at the beginning of the portfolio and what we're getting paid out. I am aware that we are a very low yield dividend portfolio. We do really focus on the companies that will increase their dividends over time. So that's going to have a big impact when we want to use this money in about 10 plus years. So it's just something to keep in mind. That's kind of what our portfolio is here all about, but I still love tracking this stuff because I love seeing all of this performance right over here as well. So now let's go ahead and break down our HSA really quick. And then, like I said, I'll go into M1 Finance itself. Inside of the portfolio, I'm just kind of going in here so it doesn't sign me out. Going in here and seeing which companies paid out and how much they actually individually paid out. So here on the HSA one, this is a new added tab. We've had an HSA for a little bit, so I went in like pre-filled last year's amounts and then obviously for 2024. So you can see over here in 2023, we made $76.76. We have ETF VOO. And then we have Google and I believe SoFi possibly in there as well, but Google and the ETF pay out the dividends. And then in 2024, you could see all the payouts and we ended up making $191.87, which is about 150% more than the year prior. So we're averaging about $16 every single month in the health savings account. We have it through Charles Schwab. So yeah, I just wanted to start adding in there because it is just, again, another dividend that I'm getting paid out. I have a few other accounts that I got to kind of maybe start tossing in here as well too, just to keep track of those dividends. And then we have our retirement account, which I haven't really showcased here on the channel, which I might start doing when it comes to the overall portfolio and how it's doing as well too. But let's go ahead and take a look here. For 2024, you can see all the different payouts for every month, or technically quarter for the most part. We got paid twice in Q4, which was really interesting there. So you could see here our total that we made for 2024 was $546.31 in dividends. And you can see that's actually a huge drop off from the year prior, which we made $1,564 the year prior. Now, the reason there was a massive drop was actually I rolled over from Vanguard over to Robinhood. And so I actually kind of went away from some of the heavier dividend focused ETFs to a little bit more of just the VOOG, which was like the top 250 companies in the US. So even though the yield is obviously much smaller, the growth has a lot more opportunity for us, but still nonetheless, $500, we take that money and reinvest it back into the portfolio, which is great. So that averaged out to about $45.53 every month. And then if I go to my all tab here, you can see here that's supposed to say 2024 here. We're going to change that in real time. So, because that threw me off so badly. So right over here, you can see here. So for 2024, we ended the year with the three major accounts that we have, which is the M1 Finance, the Health Savings Account, and the Robinhood IRA at a total of $3,268, which is about a 5% increase from the year prior. Again, that small increase actually is because of the Robinhood side of things. If that were still kind of moving forward, we would see a really, really nice increase. So across my retirement account, my brokerage, and my health savings account, we've averaged about $272.35 every single month, which is it's great to see that kind of money coming in. Like I said, we're just reinvesting that money back in. With the retirement account, it's going back into the ETF that's paying it out and Google shares by itself. Same thing with the health savings account, but M1 Finance, this one I just have it go back into the portfolio, back into the cash balance when it pays out a dividend, and then I choose where it goes. Although M1 Finance did finally get it to the point where you can actually kind of choose how you handle your dividend investing, which is really cool. You can have it actually go to particular funds. You can have it go into your high yield savings, or even customize each one individually, which is really cool. I like that. But for now, I'm fine managing it manually. So that way, when that money comes in, I find which companies I hold that are performing lower right now, so I can buy more value into those companies. So let's go ahead and go into our account here. Now, like I said, this is not perfect. There was some little odd things here, but I think this is just the easiest way to kind of go through all the holdings and see how much they're paying out as well. So right over here, we're going to have the companies that we're looking at. So our holding with Apple in the last 12 months paid out a total of $133.82. And the reason I also like coming onto this page here too is, one, you could see the current dividend yield, which is 0.44%, meaning if you bought into the company today, let's just say $100, you would essentially get 0.44% yield on that $100. But because of when I bought it and the price that it is and the dividend that it's paying and all that kind of stuff, the yield on cost for me is actually 0.66%. Now, that's still really low when you consider a dividend portfolio. Just something to keep in mind. Obviously, we have Airbnb on here, doesn't actually pay out a dividend as of this recording. And then next up here is going to be with Ally Financial. This one we got paid out in the last 12 months. $571.63. Now, the current dividend yield is 3.25%, but because of how it's paying out for me and the price I paid and the dividend increases that have happened over time, I'm actually getting 4.28%, which is kind of cool because I believe that the interest rates have started dropping underneath 4%. So I'm actually getting a better dividend yield through the dividends. Sorry, I'm getting a better yield through my dividends than from my high yield savings account if I just had an Ally Financial account. So yeah, as an investor, I get paid better than if I just hold my money in that account. Next up here is Amazon. Obviously, they currently do not pay a dividend either, so nothing on that one. And then Booking Holdings, I've had right here, you can see we've earned $24.26. We haven't had them for a very long time, but the yield on this one is 0.71%, but our yield on cost is 0.92%. Which is really great. Plus, I'm excited to see the dividend increases that this company has since they just started paying out a dividend, and just really excited to see, if it's 15, 20% dividend growth, that's going to be massive for us. And that yield on cost is going to really go up for us. Now, next up here is going to be with Costco. Costco is going to be $70.39 plus our special dividend, which I'll go look at, but I believe it was close to $200 and something on that. So that's not included in this total here. But the dividend yield is really, really low. If you're buying in now, it's at 0.49%. Ours is about 1.02%. So that really tells you how impactful it is to be investing and just keep on investing, because when companies are increasing their dividend yields, you're going to get that value there for you too. Next up here is going to be with Discover. We made a total of $534.03. The dividend yield, I believe, is at 1.5%, which is really low, honestly. But you can see right here, our yield on cost is about 3%. So I'm getting a much better value on my yield with this company based off of its current price point and what it is paying out. So next up here is going to be with Google. Google has paid out so far $210.30. The yield on this is 0.41%, but my yield on cost is actually 0.62%. And I'm really, really excited once we get close to the renewal, or not, yeah, I shouldn't say renewal, the 1 year marker of when Google started paying out a dividend, to see how much of an increase they're also going to be paying out, because I'm suspecting they're going to be about like 15-20%. And that's going to be huge when it comes to, what we already have, and then how much more we're going to get paid just with those percentages. And then next up here is going to be Home Depot. We've made a total of $561.47. Again, this is over just the last 12 months, not in its lifetime. We've made way more than that. The yield on cost is the dividend yield is 2.2%. My yield on cost is nearly 3%. And then next up here is going to be Meta. The last 12 months, we've made $133.93, a whopping 0.33% dividend yield right now, but mine is about 1% because of when I purchased. You can see my average is $188 on that. Next up here is Microsoft. We've made in the last 12 months $170.32. Dividend yield is 0.77%, but we have a dividend cost. I'm like screwing it all up here. We have a yield on cost of 1.32%. Now, down here, we also have the Vanguard VOOG fund. The ETF, right now, it is $8.13. Dividend yield is 0.48, and then yield on cost is 0.53%. So when I scroll back up here and kind of toggle this for the last 12 months, you can see Ally Bank has been the highest paying in the last 12 months, and then Home Depot and Discover were in the top three, each one over $500. So just those three alone have been a large portion of our dividend income that we've received in this portfolio. Obviously, with much higher yields in comparison to some of these other companies, we're obviously going to see how they pan out with, the dividend increases that companies like Google, that Meta, that Booking.com are going to potentially have over the next couple of months. I believe in my tracker here, we have the dates for these companies when they're going to be paying out. So we're going to see here for Google, for example, they announced back in April of last year. We're going to see in April time if they're going to announce that dividend increase and what that percentage is, and then we're going to add it in here. I'm hoping that eventually we're going to see, some of these other companies like Apple last year only increased 4.2%. So we're going to be looking for something a little bit higher than that, because if their dividend increase is at that level for a really consistent amount of time, we're not going to see good increases, because their percentage is already so low that this is usually reserved for companies that are already paying close to 4% dividends, and they're not even close to that. So it's nice that they're doing dividend buybacks, or stock buybacks, I should say, but I also want to see that dividend increase as well too. You see what company was it? Costco right there. Last year paid out 13.7% increase on their dividends that they were paying. So I got that increase as, extra income for having done nothing more than hold a company that I already have. And same thing with not Discover, what was it? Right here, Microsoft, they did a 10% increase back in 2024. So, some of these companies, you could see it's been a couple of years since they've increased. Some of them haven't increased just yet since it's their first year. So I'm excited to see how those go. But of course, make sure you're following along so that way you can keep track with how we're doing here as well. And like I mentioned, if you want to check out the dividend tracker, I'll have it available for you in the show notes down below. That's just something I put together, just a couple of bucks. Helps me out as well too. But if you want to keep on watching and learning when it comes to my portfolio and how we're doing, just check out this next video right over here on the screen to keep on watching.